On 23 November 2025, the contract of PV Sibanda as the commander, Zimbabwe Defense Forces, will end. The biggest question now is, will he continue as the commander, or will his contract be renewed, or he's going to be fired and appointed as the vice president? So at this point in time, we know that last year, Valerio, according to sources, refused to go. Will he go this year? Remember, the commander of Zimbabwe National Army is older than Valerio and is still there and serving as the commander National Army. So can it be justified for Valerio Sibanda to actually leave the ZDF when his junior is still there and is older than him? So that is a very important question at this point in time. But what we need to understand is politics is at play. Mnangagwa does not trust Valerio Sibanda at all. Why? Is because the stance of Valerio Sibanda on corruption is quite different. He doesn't like it. And unlike other people, he does have less scandals. So, which means Valerio can actually make a move, consolidate power, and make sure that he blocks the 2030 agenda and he becomes president, or he becomes part of the future. He can actually do that if he wants, but he can't do it if he leaves the Zimbabwe Defense Forces. So this is critical, and we need to look at the details and understand what is really happening. So 3 weeks from now, Masvingo Mira is actually weighing into this issue, and they are asking, are we not going to have a new commander of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces in 3 weeks? It's possible that we might see an appointment of a new Zimbabwe Defense Forces commander replacing Valerio Sibanda, and this might happen before the 23rd of November, where his contract is ending. If that does not happen, if his contract is renewed, we will see Valerio Sibanda going for another year as the commander of Defense Forces. But what is in the best interest of Mafidi dynasty is to remove Valerio Sibanda as the ZDF commander, replace him with somebody who is believed to be loyal or more loyal to Mnangagwa, and then he is put as the vice president. Why are we using the term firing? Themba Mliswa comes and he says Chiwenga left the more powerful position and accepted to be in a lesser powerful position. How did Emmerson Mnangagwa become president? The 2018 elections, right, the 2017 coup, the 2018 elections, the 2023 elections, all disputed. They were not free, they were not fair. ZANU-PF did not win. Mnangagwa himself did not win those elections. And he is there simply because the military allowed it, or the system allowed it. Which means he cannot tell the same generals what to do. If they say we stay, they stay. It's because everything which is happening is unconstitutional. The destruction of the opposition twice, all unconstitutional. Which means everything which is happening in Zimbabwe, you cannot point out the constitution to just a few things and you ignore everything else. So Themba Mliswa's point is Chiwenga lost power after leaving the barracks. And that is true. When you are a military man, you are commanding the military directly. It doesn't have anything to do with the constitution. You can choose to follow the constitution, you can choose to violate the constitution. The army will still obey your orders. So as the commander of CDF, Chiwenga had absolute control over the army, and he had leverage during and after the coup. But as soon as he got retired and became vice president, he then inherited what we call constitutional power. He no longer has that military power. You now have to rely on what the constitution says. And Chiwenga now relies on loyal generals, loyal soldiers who are within the ranks and files within the military. Some of them, they've been reassigned, fired, put to other areas. Some of them, they've been co-opted by the Mnangagwa's faction. They've been given cars, houses, and everything else. They feel vulnerable, they're hungry, and they want something for their children, so they will have to play along. So Mnangagwa used that to isolate General Chiwenga, and then he built his own loyal command chain. So these generals, they have businesses. So for you to get business benefits, you have to sing along, you have to play along. For you to have political placements, you have to sing along, you have to play along, because they have ambitions too. For you to be promoted, you have to sing along, dance along, play along. That is another issue. So when you are looking at what Mliswa said, his view or his analysis is valid. Valerio Sibanda's situation is that there is a possibility that he gets retired this November if his contract is not renewed. So he is one of the most respected people within the military of Zimbabwe. He's disciplined. People believe that he's apolitical. You know, he's viewed as a man who has managed to stabilize the peace in the nation of Zimbabwe. So if he is retired now, his retirement becomes more political than anything else. So Valerio is seen as a man who is loyal to the institution, not to individuals. Which means if he is retired, he becomes weaker. And if he is weaker, Mnangagwa can manage the 2030 agenda the way you want it. So as long as Valerio is there, Mnangagwa does not trust that the 2030 agenda will happen according to plan. He is a man, when you get into the military, he is highly respected. So chances of other military men sabotaging him more, they are low. They are not that much. So when we are talking about sabotage, you can talk about middle level officers, the middle ranked officers. They have a lot of respect for the CDF. That is where his power lies. So if he is retired now, amid the factional battles between Mnangagwa and Chiwenga, what might happen is we might see the military itself failing to be balanced. We might see the military itself dividing. We might see the military itself collapsing. So if Mnangagwa insists on retiring General PV, is expected, you know, it's something else. So what needs to happen is PV, he might refuse to be appointed VP, and he might opt to continue as the CDF. He might even accept to be retired, and he might accept to be posted on a diplomatic role, not as a vice president. That is another possibility which might happen, although we cannot tell for sure what will happen. If Valerio accepts the position of vice presidency, in the event that Mnangagwa goes, Valerio might fight Kuda to a point where you become president and Kuda won't win the presidency. That is another issue. So in as much as it might appear as a weaker position, being included within the presidium might give Valerio leverage. Imagine a situation where Valerio and Chiwenga both are against Mnangagwa. What will happen? The system will collapse. The Mafidi dynasty will collapse and it will fail. So the biggest question is, will he be made vice president in the next few weeks? Mnangagwa is contemplating or considering offering Sibanda the vice presidency. According to sources, he already did, but there is no answer as of now. So Mnangagwa might want to use that as leverage to try and control everything, but you cannot tell for sure if that will work or if that will happen. So Chiwenga was generally neutralized after accepting the VP post. His comrades, they were murdered. His comrades, they were eliminated. He was left vulnerable. He was left alone. He cannot even defend his comrades. He's looking or is appearing weak. Other people believe that he's actually appearing weak so as to use his influence to strike at a later stage. But no one knows. So it's very difficult to deal with people like Valerio because his political ambitions are not known as of now. Last year, he was offered to be vice president. He refused and opted to continue as the ZDF. So we do not know if he has changed now. As long as there is an older person holding a position of commander, National Army, Valerio might continue as the CDF and nothing will happen because Mnangagwa is already in violation of the constitution. It didn't start today, it has been there. So to tell Valerio that you are in violation of the constitution, it doesn't work because they have been violating the constitution since the continuous appointment of Valerio as well as Mutatu. So it's something else. So we are talking about political calculation right here. If Mnangagwa pushes Sibanda to retire without a safety guarantee, what it means is Valerio would openly put his allies on risk of being alienated because you see a new commander, Zimbabwe National Army coming in, a new Zimbabwe ZDF commander coming in, and you see a lot of shifts being made, a lot of promotions, a lot of retirements being made, and then we are going to have a more military style kind of leadership in Zimbabwe than when PV is there. So it's something else. So it will become very, very difficult for key military generals, but it might also work in the advantage of General Chiwenga and Valerio himself. They might be having a voice against Mnangagwa, both of them in the Politburo. Vakagara side by side vachiudza Mnangagwa kuti it can't happen, it won't work. It might happen and it might cause a lot of chaos. Because remember, Mnangagwa might reshuffle people, move people within the military, but there are certain ranks he cannot immediately reshuffle so as to not to cause destabilization within the military itself. So it's very difficult to understand what will happen. It's very difficult to project whether Valerio will accept or not. But my own view is Valerio will likely accept to take this position, will likely leave the military, and then will accept to become a civilian or will accept to be a vice president. Those are possibilities. This is how I feel. This is how I see these things happening. So answering the question, within the next 3 weeks or so, we might see Valerio Sibanda coming as the new vice president, replacing Kembo Mohadi. It's possible. And we might also see Vice President Chiwenga being fired and replaced by Kudakwashe Tagirei. It's also possible. What Mnangagwa will want to try to avoid is having two military generals within the same office or within the same administration in the presidium. He might fail to contain the pressure. Because one way or the other, if he leaves power, either of the two gentlemen becomes president. And these people probably they have a lot of respect for each other, and something might happen. So this is what is happening at this point in time. Valerio Sibanda might be fired in the next few weeks. The reason I'm using the term fired is because he will be accepting a weaker role and position than the one he does have at this point in time. So wait to see what happens, and it's a very, very interesting moment in the nation of Zimbabwe. Remember, he's running his contract, which is expiring on 23 November. It's up to him to renew it up to next year. It's up to him to accept the new position or to be retired and leave peacefully. It's up to him. We see what happens, and we see how the dynamics within the Zimbabwean government will continue to change in the next few days.